You're listening to the Recovered Life Show.
Stress and addiction relapse. A huge thing running around now.
It is.
Huge thing. People came back, Kristina, to a kind of a COVID community. Let's admit it. And money's down for a lot of people, and relationships are tense because
isolation.
Everybody's been in. I got to tell you, I went to one of my favorite places on earth, though, and had a little glimpse of freedom.
Really?
I went to Costco. I'm a huge fan of the Costco.
I have to say no to Costco.
Come on. I'll coordinate with your husband. I think every soccer dad, every dad out there is a Costco fanatic. I was at my brother-in-law's house yesterday, so shout out to him. We were comparing what we love on Costco in Costco.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I've reached a new low in my life, I think, but I do. I love
You're
it.
Stretching.
I have to tell you. But I walked into Costco, and the person was like, mask optional.
Really?
So anyone here that's listening that lives outside of California in a free America, you're going to be like, what are you guys talking about? But in Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego County, mask mandates have been pretty strict.
Mm-hmm.
And that's caused stress too. I mean,
it has.
Looking at the kids so this whole thing, the stress, and I wanted to kind of do the segment about stress and relapse, a huge trigger, right?
It is huge. And a lot of us, because this has been so vastly different than anything else that we can look at, we don't necessarily have the pathway, for us. A lot of times in the recovery community, you will know somebody who has lost somebody, let's say, and you can go to them and get, input. You will have examples of how to walk through this, but COVID, nobody has an example. And I know a lot of people got sober. In fact, that's what, multiple episodes have been about, but there have been people who've lost their sobriety based on that. Like, it was just too much. And I think that we're starting to have conversations about mental health, but I mean, stress doesn't even really cover what's happening in our world right now. It doesn't even come close, right? And so they've either gone into anxiety or they've gone into fear. And, in order to be able to even survive, they've used alcohol for calming down their nervous system.
Well, let's admit it. Like, people who are in recovery deal with stress different.
Mm-hmm.
As a codependency coach, and I know we do a lot of rooms, and we're going to give a little Clubhouse plug. We're going to be on Clubhouse at 9 this morning?
At 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Pacific time, so 11 Central and 12 Eastern. We actually do those shows Monday through Thursday, and they are amazing. We have lots and lots of people in the room, and we have beautiful discussions about this so that we can all walk through these times and the things that are specific to us and realize we're not alone. Please, if you do not belong to Clubhouse, download the app, hit Recovered Life, so that you can get notified when our rooms are on there. They're one of my favorite parts of the day.
And let me tell you, stress is a huge thing. We have a whole thing about stress and anxiety, also on the Recovered Life app, and we talk about it a lot. People's, here's the thing. I think we fall under a couple of camps here.
Okay.
You know me, I'm always trying to categorize things,
you
right?
are.
So I'm that, and I'm the analogy kid. A shout out to my buddy Rich, who I'm stealing the title of the analogy kid.
Okay.
Who's probably listening to this right now. But, we fall into two camps, I think, with anxiety. It's people who maybe have lived in an alcoholic home that repress anxiety. They're cool as a cucumber. War zone going on. You want Bob or Sue in your camp. They'll not even flinch, right? They handle it well. And then 2 weeks later, their whole nervous system breaks down. I'm one of those too, right? And then there's people who just from the get-go can't handle any kind of anxiety. Their whole nervous system just starts to collapse, right?
Right.
And you see this a lot in a recovery. I think it means different things. Having run groups and been part of the recovered community for a long time, I think there's different diagnoses that go with it. I find that the people who have that delayed response of anxiety and stress are much more fall into the ACOA. I hate to use these acronyms, but the codependency,
adult children of
alcoholics, exactly.
And dysfunctional families.
Absolutely.
They absolutely do. And actually, this mimics throughout the non-recovery world too. Brene Brown refers to it as an overfunctioner or an underfunctioner. And I have met underfunctioners, whereas the plan becomes crystal clear to me. But the problem with an overfunctioner is, like you said, 2 weeks later, it shows up and we have disassociated from our actual body. And the thing that I am envious of underfunctioners is that they know this is too much for them right then and they need help. And so whereas I might delay asking for help or not even understand where it's coming from, they know immediately I'm in it and this is what I need. So,
Yes.
Either one is a struggle, but I believe the entire world is in those two camps.
Well, I'm going to tell you, not only I think are they in those two camps, I think when we talk about relapse, and when we talk about stress is a big thing because, one of the great things that 12 steps have given us and also just coaching and the recovered community has given us, although there's no one way that people relapse, there's not, right?
No.
There are signs
Yes.
who was it? Was it Les Brown that says success leaves clues?
Yes.
I can't remember who said that, right?
Yes.
Well,
So good.
relapse leaves clues too.
It
And
sure does.
one of the clues that it leaves is that not being able to handle anxiety or stress when it comes in, not being able to process it healthily,
Right.
in a healthy way.
Yes.
What happens is that it puts you in the future or the past.
Absolutely.
And we know that in the future and the past, if you're out of the present, you're much more likely to relapse.
Absolutely. And not being able to identify it. The first step is always identifying it. And the second step is being able to label it so that you have choices in your reaction to it. I know I work with a lot of people that the scariest thing is that they're feeling anxiety or stress and they don't know where it's coming from. And when we peel back their week, we can point to different things. And so you can, in your disassociated state, look at different things and know, even though you didn't feel stress about that incident at that time, most people would. And then the remedy is always the same. Calm your nervous system down. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself, both spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Do something extra. That's the other thing. Repairing the nervous system has to be everybody's job in recovery. Yes. First thing,
and I think the big thing is also too, one of the things that I've learned is this whole concept of letting go. Just a little behind the scenes of recovered life here. We had a hard time getting the stream up for whatever reason. It works perfectly. And then this morning, we're all prepared. We're on time. We're ready to go at 8. The stream just starts to crash, right? So eventually I get stressed, right? And then eventually I try to repress that.
Right.
No, I'm not having it. I can control stress. And sometimes just the acknowledgement of,
absolutely,
wow, this is stressful. This sucks. And, I noticed that with stress, there were 2 things that would happen. I would have the instinct to run. Or I would have the instinct to fight.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it's somewhere in between there where you just kind of let go. The acknowledgement of I've done all I can here. I'm going to let go of this has been the biggest thing to deal with stress and anxiety for me, is to say, I've done all I can do here. It's no longer in my hands.
So, and there is a difference, though, I think, between letting go and turning it over. So, letting go, let's say you have a coin in your hand and you open it up, you're letting go of it. You're not holding on to it, but it's still in your hand. And so I believe the second step of that is turning it over so that it's no longer in your hand. And that's part of what the spiritual awakening does.
Absolutely.
Letting us know that there is something out there that is a greater resource than just us alone. And that is important to mention as well.
Well, this has been an amazing segment too. We always talk about really interesting things. We created the Recovered Life because we wanted people to live their best recovered life. And that's what the show is about.
Yes.
And, episode 79, one of the reasons why we want to talk about, the non-alcoholic drinks, the stress and addiction relapse, all this stuff is because these are real things. This is actually what's going on in people's recovered lives, right? This is what we hear on the app. In the Recovered Life community, and it's what we hear on Clubhouse constantly.
Well, we live in a world that is insatiable need for the highlight reels, and recovery and living your best recovered life has to do with all the behind the scenes moments and acknowledging them, sharing them, making sure that you are asking for help, making sure that you're not feeling isolated. That's how we live the best recovered life we have.
Absolutely. This is going to conclude episode 79.
All
I can't
right.
believe this. Guys, if you're not going to join us, we're going to be in the next 5 minutes. We're going to be on Clubhouse. And if you're listening to this in replay, which you are obviously in the podcast or anything else, go to Clubhouse, download the app. That's free as well. And go to recoveredlife.us and you can join the community. You're going to hear all about it. We're on Clubhouse 4 days a week
Beautiful
at 9 a.m. Pacific all the time. Great conference. And this is a way that you can not only listen to the Recovered Life show, but you can participate because Kristina and I are answering questions. We've got experts on all the time that you see on the show, contributors. It is really a blast, honestly. So join us there on Clubhouse. And definitely, if you're not a member of the Recovered Life community, go to recoveredlife.us. Join today. Tons of stuff. You're going to get access to a lot of amazing things.